I'm Tracy Koga with something short and fun. This is a Hue Soundbite. It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce Dennis Mackenzie to Hue at Home. Welcome, Dennis. It's been an amazing year for you, and it's about music. But I guess maybe let's talk, though, about the importance of what you're doing now for the veterans of today.
Yeah, Tracy, thank you so much first off for having me. Um, it's been a big year for me. I am a Canadian Armed Forces veteran of 9 years. I served with the Royal Canadian Regiment in New Brunswick, and I also served in Afghanistan in 2007. And so since has been quite a time for me with dealing with post-traumatic stress and release from the military and loss and lots of different things that have been challenges for me over the years. And so over the last year, I've actually been able to create and record an album with Dennis Ellsworth, a local musician here from Prince Edward Island. And a lot of the music and the songs had already been written. It was more of a getting it together as a complete project. And it tells, my military story from recruitment up until release, and highlights some of the major events that happened during my time overseas and some of the losses that happened while I was overseas, but more so the losses after returning from overseas. And for me, the big message here is to honor those that we're losing off the battlefield. We're very good as a nation at honoring our soldiers and our veterans while they're serving and while they're overseas. And if we ever happen to lose one overseas, we really rally together in a huge show of support. The Highway of Heroes. I mean, how many images of videos have you seen of the beauty of that? The Trues wrote a song about it. And, we're very good as a nation at doing that. But then if a soldier or a veteran takes their own life off of the battlefield, they're suffering from the same wounds, the same injuries, or sorry, different wounds, different injuries, but from the same battles. And we don't mention them. A lot of times I've been lucky to find good friends' names just through social media and, maybe a newspaper obituary, but never knowing what happened or any of that. And I think the big thing for me is just trying to change that dialogue and honor those that we lose the same way on or off the battlefield.
And I want to ask you too now, Dennis, music for yourself, how did you find it? Were you always interested in music besides everything that has happened?
I learned to play guitar when I was around 16, just, basic guitar, learned how to play some chords and sing along. Campfire guitarist really was as far as I had gotten. And then when I was in the military, I played a little bit with some friends. And it wasn't until really the last 2 or 3 years that I truly started getting lost in music, is how it happened. It just came organically. It was, I really just started researching a little bit more into music and sounds and the types of sounds that you can create, and learning to feel that as an emotion. And it just got to the point where I could spend 6, 8 hours with a guitar on my lap and not do another single thing, and just getting lost, and then using that to try and put out how I'm feeling and try and portray the insides to the out.
Mm-hmm. Did that trigger memories of being back in Afghanistan and, with your friends that you've lost?
Yeah, so a lot of the material that was written during those times. There are songs that were written after a loss, and during some hard times. The songs mostly weren't. It wasn't a sit down and write it now about how it had happened. This is years of work that has just all been collaborated together. So it was, um, for me, it was last November. I had an experience that really changed my outlook and my view on everything. And that's what really got the energy into creating the album, because before it was very sad and hurt. And I couldn't even read or sing a lot of the material myself because it was just too hard. And then I was fortunate enough to have an experience last November, which just totally changed the way I saw everything. And that gave me the name for Guardian Angel Platoon. And it was about a dream. So the experience was I had the chance of having a new therapy treatment, which, we're now experimenting with psychedelics and treatment. And so I was able to see a medicine woman and undergo a meditation ceremony where it really made me look at the way things have played out, the way I see things, the way I'm still damaged and hurt by things. And I left that experience just totally fresh on everything. And it actually was a dream that I had after this experience where I was with countless soldiers that we've lost home, overseas, friends that I knew, people that I didn't know, all dressed in white. And this is where the concept of the guardian angel platoon came from, was this dream telling me that they're okay, they're doing their work somewhere else. And that is the guardian angel platoon, is those that we've lost too soon that are still on the other side doing their work, helping us here.
Wow, it is just totally amazing. And your take now, Dennis, on the world today. We didn't think that we were going to be in a pandemic, let alone fighting COVID and the increasing, I guess, mental health and wellness being so forefront. How has that sort of affected you too as well? And how are you coping?
So for me, I can be a bit of a hermit. I'm not an extrovert by any means. So for me, I spent a lot of time during the pandemic doing this and focusing on myself and working on music. I mean, it's troublesome where we are today with the divide the pandemic has created, and a lot of people are isolated, and a lot of people can't see their friends and family, and it's very difficult. And there's definitely a mental health aspect that's coming with that. And I think that's part of what this album is. There is things that everybody will be able to relate to. Anyone who has ever been touched in any way by mental health illness, whether it's yourself, friends, family, which I think is most of us at this point. I think the album will be able to speak to everybody on that.
And I guess for all of those out there, veterans, today, especially on this day, I guess words of wisdom, how you've managed to get to where you are today, and in your own words, what does it take?
It takes being very humble and being able to accept help and accept when you need help, and to be able to say that, you know what, I'm not well now, I'm broken, and to be able to accept that and seek the proper treatments for that. We have a bit of a hang up with the word broken. We don't want to consider ourselves broken because we throw out broken things, but that's not the way I see it. If I went into a hospital with a broken arm and got treated for a sprain, then it's never going to heal properly. And when we won't be able to accept the fact that we're in a broken state, then we can never go through the process to repair and move on from that state.
And musically speaking, the people that have helped you on this album, what was that whole journey like? It must have been pretty cool.
It was amazing. So I had the chance to work with a local musician here whose name is Dennis Ellsworth, and he's quite accomplished here in Prince Edward Island. He's seems to be involved in most things going music these days, and he's been at this for a long, long time. He started writing in high school, and he was able to really help me see the rest of the parts that I wasn't quite there on yet. I mean, I'm able to portray to a certain point, but someone with that experience who's able to sit down, and he writes such beautiful songs and melodies as well. So to have him be able to come in and, it wasn't just he came into this because he wanted a job. He came into this because he believed in this album. He was touched by the mission in it, and he put his heart into it, and it really shows too.
And where do you think this will all lead? What is your grand dream, Dennis?
For me, it's really about being able to talk openly about mental health and suicide. I mean, I've lost many friends overseas, and I've lost many more now to suicide since I've come home. And that's a demographic that speaks right across the Canadian Armed Forces. We've lost 158 soldiers during the Afghanistan war, But since we've lost more than that to suicide, to their own hands. And for me, it's about really opening that door and that conversation. And I want it to be a comfortable topic. We shouldn't have to look through all these, articles that are not really telling us anything, to try and read between the lines to find out what has happened to somebody, especially when there's so many others suffering in the same way. This is something that should be able to connect us as a society, not divide us.
Oh, most certainly. And I believe there's a pin because the single lanterns mean something. I was curious. I wanted to know the story about that.
Yeah, so the song Lanterns off of the album is a song about the fact that we do not honor those veterans and soldiers that we lose off of the battlefield, and specifically to their own hands, suicide. We are great at honoring when we lose a soldier during a conflict or during battle, but Remembrance Day really traditionally doesn't have a home for those that we've lost to suicide. So with the song Lanterns, there's been a pin as well created that the intent is to be worn on Remembrance Day alongside of the poppy to honor those that we've lost to suicide and their mental health injuries off of the battlefield.
Oh, well, that's so beautiful. And where can we go to get the album? And is it going to any charity, of course, to help your cause?
Yeah, so all proceeds from the Lantern are going towards funding and supporting music therapy programs for veterans. And there's a percentage of the proceeds going from the album as well. The album's available right now. Well, it's available through Bandcamp, and you can stream it through Spotify and streaming places as well, or you can just go to theguardianangelplatoon.com as well.
Oh, well, once again, it's been an honor, and we all thank you for what you've done for all of us, and we wish you and encourage you on this journey, because it is a very, very important one, Dennis, and it's people like you that will shine a light on it, and with your music, maybe touch way more than ever you could ever think possible. So thank you so much, Dennis.
Well, thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time today.